Now you've seen the title, you've seen the thumbnail, so that lets me know that you are struggling with crochet patterns. You get so frustrated that you just want to give up. The abbreviations are super confusing, and it seems sometimes like the patterns are written in a language that you don't even understand. You start a project, but the project doesn't turn out quite like it should. It's infuriating. It really leaves you feeling defeated before you even get started, and it doesn't have to be that way. Today, I'm going to share what I have learned that has helped me not only read crochet patterns, but has allowed me the opportunity to start creating my own crochet patterns. Honestly, this is the video that I wish I would have had years ago. My name is Marty. I'm the owner of Flawsome Stitches Crochet, and I design amigurumi and crochet wearables. I am literally obsessed with all things crochet. Today, I'm going to go over some of the most common, most often used abbreviations in crochet patterns. I'm going to go over what they mean and how they are used. I'm also going to be giving you some tips and tricks that I've learned throughout the years that have made crochet pattern reading so much easier for me. And I'm going to go over some reasons that you might be having issues getting your projects based on a pattern to actually turn out right. And I'm just going to give you a hint. It's probably not even your fault. So there are 3 types of abbreviations. There are abbreviations that tell you what stitch that you need to use. They tell you where you're going to place those stitches and how you're going to complete that particular stitch. So the first thing I want to talk about, the what stitch you're going to use. Now, the first most common is chain. You start with your foundation chain, so it'll tell you to chain so many. So the first abbreviation is CH, which means chain. You have your foundation chain, which is just making, when I was growing up, they called it a daisy chain. Now the next one is SC, which stands for single crochet. The next one, HDC, which is half double crochet. The next one is double crochet, and the triple is TR. The treble crochet, sometimes you hear it referred to as the treble crochet or the triple crochet, depending on the pattern that you're reading. That's one of the confusing parts. Sometimes they say triple, sometimes they say treble. It means the exact same thing, and it's usually TR for the abbreviation. So you've got the treble, which is TR. The double treble, which is DTR, and you have the triple treble, which is TRTR. And finally, we have the slip stitch, SL space ST, slip stitch. So just a quick recap, we have the chain, CH, we have single crochet, SC, we have the half double crochet, which is HDC, the double crochet, which is DC, triple crochet or treble, which is TR, the double treble, which is DTR, the triple treble, which is TRTR, and the slip stitch, which is SL space ST. So those are the what category of the abbreviations. Those are the different variety of stitches. From there, you got to figure out where you're going to place those stitches and also how you're going to complete those stitches. Let's go ahead with the where of the stitches. Now, oftentimes you'll see SP, which is a space. Most normally, you might even see a CH, SP, CH space SP, like this. That means chain space. So in the pattern, it might have you chain 3, skip 3 or skip 2, whatever the case may be. I'm just going to skip 2 right here and then do your single crochet, whatever it is that you're doing. That little space right here where those chains are and they're not connected to the fabric, that's the chain space. For instance, if it says 3 single crochet in space or in next space or in chain space, all of those are the same. The next one I want to talk about is increases. That is INC. Increase means there are multiple of the same stitches in the same. It means you're making your project bigger. Decrease, on the other hand, is combining 2 stitches into one. This can also be TOG, which is together. Together and decrease are pretty close to the same unless they're in the same stitch. So, for instance, if you had a decrease, it would be combining 2 stitches into one. If it was TOG rather than DEC, it would be in the same stitch. So you're not gaining, you're not increasing, but you're not decreasing either. There's just an extra stitch in there. Another thing that I want to talk about is round. When you see round, there's either rounds or rows. Rows mean you go back and forth on the same thing. The round is when you're moving in a circular motion. Usually we do that a lot with wearables when you start from the top down, or you're just moving in a circle. So instead of saying row, because row means you stop, turn, and go back the other way, and round doesn't work like that. The abbreviation for that is, as you see here, RND rather than ROW. Another really useful abbreviation that I have found is REP, which means repeat. So you will have asterisks or parentheses around a set of instructions. So it might say, for instance, asterisk, 3 single crochet, comma, increase, comma, 3 single crochet, comma, 2 increase, right? And then a parentheses. And then it might say REP across, repeat across. So you would work those same stitches all the way across throughout your round or throughout your row. The REP signals that you need to repeat whatever it was in between what they say. Again, sometimes it's an asterisk, sometimes it depends on the designer. Okay, so one thing that really kind of confused me as far as the abbreviations is right side, wrong side. So right side obviously is RS, wrong side is WS. The part that confused me is, how do you know? If I'm doing an amigurumi and it is, just let me see if I have one real close. Of course not. So if I'm doing an amigurumi and I'm going around and around and around and around, the right side, as you can see, this is the very top stitch. It's pointing out towards you. That's the right side. This is the wrong side. However, when you're working in rows and you're going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, it gets really confusing because how do you know when those are always pointing towards you? So a pattern will specify which is the wrong side and which is the right side. And usually they have them marked for you. Let's go ahead and move on to where. Where are you going to place these stitches? That's a great question. I'm glad you asked, because sometimes, like this is placed inside the chain space. The front loop only, as you can see, we've got these 2 loops right here, okay? The front loop is always the one that's facing you. That's FLO. FLO means front loop only. Do not work through both stitches. Now, on the other hand, you can do BLO, which is the back loop only. Now, there's also front post and back post, depending on what your pattern is doing and the type of stitch that it is trying to create. Front post is FP. So, for instance, if it was a front post double crochet, it would say FP DC. Now, back post is BP. So it would say something similar to BP DC. That would mean a back post double crochet. Just a really quick recap of all of the abbreviations. We've got CH, which is chain space or chain. We've got SC, which is single crochet. We've got half double crochet, which is HDC. Double crochet, which is DC, treble crochet or triple, depending on how you want to say it, which is TR, double treble, which is DTR, and triple treble, which is TR. Those are the what. What stitches am I going to be needing? How I'm going to be needing them? Increase, which is INC. That's when you place 2 in the same stitch. Decrease, which is DEC. That's when you combine 2 stitches to make 1. RND, which is round instead of row. That lets you know you're going to be going all the way around. REP, which is repeat. Right side, RS. Wrong side, WS. And TOG, which is together. That's how you're going to be completing those stitches or that particular section of the pattern. Now, there's also the where, which is SP space. Sometimes also it is CHSP, front loop only, which is FLO, the back loop only, which is BLO, and then we've got front post, which is FP, and back post, which is BP. Now, if you're finding value in today's video, please let YouTube know that you like it by giving me a thumbs up and sharing it with people who you think will really benefit. We all are trying to grow and master our crochet skills. So let's help one another out and share it up. Okay, now I want to give you a few tips and tricks that really have helped me throughout my crochet journey. And keep in mind, these are things that I wish that I would have known when I first started crochet, when I first started reading patterns, because I learned better through video. However, there are so many amazing, beautiful patterns out there that don't have videos attached. So it's best to know both. The one thing I will say, the top of my list is read the pattern before you start it. This is a lesson I still need to take into, I remember it most of the time and then it's gone. But if you want to see what I mean by read it first, I'm going to link a video right here. This was a stitch tutorial that I've done recently about learning certain stitches. I was following a pattern in a book and I did not read it before I started the tutorial, and you can tell. So I'm going to go ahead and post it up here. Go ahead and check it out and let me know what you think. The second is research. Research any terms. If you're unfamiliar with something in a pattern, Google it. Ask ChatGPT. Do your research. There are so many amazing videos on YouTube that will teach you everything that you need to know in order to learn whatever stitches, whatever abbreviations, whatever terms you're not familiar with. So do your research. There's no shame in it. There's really not. If that research does not help you to understand what's going on in the pattern that you really want to do, ask for help. Don't feel bad about asking for help. Look, we've all been there at one point, or in my case, many, many points. So don't be afraid to ask for help. If you're not understanding a concept or anything inside of a pattern, there are many, many, many in the crochet community that would be more than happy to help you out. Another thing, which honestly has been a godsend for me, is to use a sticky note. My goodness, use a sticky note, because if you're doing a pattern that is multiple pages, and sometimes even just one, I'm going to be honest with you, words blur together in my head. That's why videos are a lot easier for me to follow, because I can stop, do what I'm going to do, go back. When I'm reading a pattern, the words blur together. I lose my place. I can't remember where I'm at, what I'm doing. And it's so frustrating that I'm like, forget it. Just forget it. Well, don't forget it. Get yourself a sticky note. Not gonna lie, these are amazing. You get yourself a sticky note, and yeah, this is not a pattern. These are my notes for the video, so don't judge me. But if you go like this, that lets you know that this part right here, that's the section that you're on. That's the row or the round that you're working on right now. And then you just move it down as you need to. That helps you stay focused. It helps you not be so frustrated. That is one of the biggest things for me, is using a sticky note. Even if you do not listen to my tip about reading the pattern first, use the sticky note. I promise it's going to benefit you tremendously. Another one is stitch markers. Listen, stitch markers really truly are your crochet bestie. They are the thing that has your back so that you don't lose count of whatever stitches that you're on. And if you're working on a blanket, or even wearables, if you're making a dress or a cardigan or whatever, and there are tons of stitches, it helps you mark so that you don't have to go back and count the entire stinking row. Let me know if you've ever done that. Frustrating. So frustrating. So they have your back. Let your bestie have your back and use the stitch markers. Another thing that I would say is take regular breaks. When you're dealing with a particularly difficult project, and the pattern is maybe not difficult to read, although sometimes they are, it gets overwhelming. Your brain starts getting foggy, at least mine does. Take a break, set it down, go get yourself some water, in my case, some coffee, do something else. Wash a couple dishes, walk the dog, whatever you need to do, and then come back to it with a clear mind, and it will be a lot easier to complete that project, to read and understand that crochet pattern if you take breaks. So let me know in the comments if you have any other tips and tricks, maybe for reading crochet patterns and completing crochet patterns, that might be beneficial for somebody that's having difficulty. This community is amazing for supporting one another. Y'all are great. I'm just saying, y'all are amazing. Now, there are a couple of reasons that your crochet projects might not turn out the way that you expect them to, or the way that it looks on the picture. Let me know if you've had that issue. I have numerous times. It's fine. We're fine. Anyway, there's a couple of reasons. One might be, like, honestly, it might be a poorly written pattern. As a pattern designer, it is difficult to be able to adequately express what is going on in your mind so that somebody else can understand. It might just be, it didn't have to do me like that. It might just be a poorly written pattern. That's not your fault. It is literally not your fault if the designer can't get across what they want in that pattern. It may have been rushed. They may not have even taken the time to have it tested. have it tech edited. They may not have done that. So there may be many flaws inside that pattern, which has nothing to do with your skills. And I need for you to understand that. Another reason that you could be having issues with a crochet pattern is that it may be written using UK terms rather than US terms, or vice versa. If you're in the UK and you're used to your terms being a certain way, and then you get a United States pattern, a US pattern is different. The terminology is different. You actually are in luck on that, because this is the very first video in my new series about crochet patterns and crochet charts. Next week, I'm going to be diving into differences between US, Canada, and UK patterns, how they're written, and how to recognize them. So don't forget to subscribe. You can hit that little button on your right and turn on the notifications so that you don't miss out on that. Until then, check out this video, and I will see you next week for part 2 of the Crochet Patterns and Charts series. Love y'all.